Hi guys, it's Audra, and I am back today to talk about my reintroduction into the weight loss community. As I've said in the past, my weight loss over the past couple of years has been non-existent, shall we say. Basically, I have been roller coaster yo-yo on and off the bandwagon dieting for the past 3 years. And yesterday I weighed myself and it's not good. It's 310 pounds. That's 2 pounds less than my highest weight ever in my entire life, which means I could very easily go over that. I could very easily reach 350. I could very easily reach 400 pounds. I'm at a point in my life where gaining is so much easier than losing. So over the past couple of weeks, I've done a lot of research. And so, to put it plainly, I'm going low carb. And here's why. And I know a lot of people have reservations about low carb, especially because of the fat intake. So I have a whole bunch of videos that I have watched that I will link below for you in case you're interested, with, you know, what are they, journalists, doctors, nutritionists, that sort of thing, all talking about the myths about weight loss, talking about the research, talking about the cause of obesity and all that sort of thing. So I'll link all the full videos down below. But just to kind of surmise, I actually looked into what the process of weight gain is. Something I haven't done before. I've always looked into how do you lose weight, not how do you gain weight, right? Because it's just one of those things that it seems so insignificant, right? Like, it's not about gaining weight, it's about losing weight. So why should I be looking into gaining weight? Well, I decided to look into it because I do have Hashimoto's. I, gain weight very easily. And so I wanted to know why my body's doing that. Okay? And so I started looking into it, and basically here's how it works. And I am a scientist, so I did know part of it. We get our energy as humans, as animals, we get our energy through cellular respiration. And basically what happens is you take in food, us in particular, we take in carbohydrates and proteins and fats, all that. The carbohydrates are what give us our energy, because our body very easily converts that to glucose. Okay, it takes oxygen, it takes water, it takes glucose, right, and it creates energy. Okay, ATP, and it's a big, huge, long word, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. But it gives us energy. Well, we kind of know that, right? We take in food, our cells produce energy, and anything that we don't use gets stored as fat. Well, how does that process work? Basically what happens is our bodies, when we have glucose made, we put that glucose into our blood so that the cells can take it in. The cells have these big bodyguards outside going, nobody's getting past the gate unless I say so, right? rightly so. They're called guard cells. And so basically what our body does is the liver produces insulin. It puts it in the bloodstream, and the insulin's kind of like the password, and it allows the cells to take in the glucose in our blood. Okay, so insulin rises after you eat. We know this. Diabetics, you could be, two types of diabetics. Either you don't produce the insulin or you have too much of the insulin. So what insulin does as well is allowing the cells to, take in this energy, is we call it glucose. And it's not energy, it's glucose coming in so that the cells can do its magic to create energy. It also stores fat to protect the cells, okay? So basically what it does is go, hey, we need to keep enough fat or enough energy storage to protect in case of an emergency, okay? It's like your emergency savings account, right? You're not taking all your money and spending it, right? You're putting some away in the bank so that in case something happens, you have it there. Well, your body does the same thing. And what insulin does is it triggers the body to take excess glucose and store it as fat, okay? So that's what's happening. And Dr. Lustig, who is an expert in childhood obesity, he's been studying it for 20-something years, came to this studying, oh my gosh, I forgot what it was. It's going to be below, but he kind of summarizes what exactly, there was some condition, I can't remember what it was called, that was causing children to be obese. And so what they noticed was that there were higher insulin levels, and it's blocking, I had this all in my head, I'm sorry. It's blocking another hormone that triggers your brain to say, hey, you're not hungry anymore, you can stop eating, okay? Lysol? No, that's not it. I don't know. Watch the video. Lustig is awesome. He's really great at breaking it down. So anyway, so your body, insulin is like, if it's raised too much, it's going to block the hormone that tells you that you're good, okay? And insulin wants to change all this glucose into fat. The unfortunate piece is that fat cells can be created. They expand infinitely. You cannot get rid of them. You can shrink them. You cannot get rid of them, okay? Unless you have liposuction and that sucks it all out. But you could actually see a single fat cell. When you look at, videos and they're showing fat and they're little bubbles. Those little bubbles, each one is a cell, okay? That's just been expanded. So, if you're already overweight or obese or morbidly obese, then you're kind of at a disadvantage because you actually have more fat cells. And your body's going to say, hey, we need to make sure all these cells are, to capacity so that we can, make sure that they're not going to starve in the future. So that's that. If you want to lose weight, you have to reduce the insulin in your blood, okay? And granted, you've heard this good carbs, bad carbs, right? Fructose, sucrose, all that, really bad for you, okay? And sugar, there's a documentary I'm gonna link below. What is it? Sugar, something about the truth about sugar, an inconvenient truth, or something like that. It's another Dr. Lustig. It's like an hour-long lecture that he gave at some medical conference or whatever, and it's really good. And that's how I got introduced to him. My husband actually found it online and watched it, and then had me sit down and watch it. And that's when we went into wow, sugar's really bad for us. And one way I've been starting to think about it is, when you look at sugar, like you put sugar in your hand, very similar to cocaine, right? Okay. Well, it's kind of like cocaine. It's very addictive. It's really bad for your body. In fact, it's a poison, the way your body reacts to fructose in your body. So, yeah. Anyway, he talks about that all below. So most people know that refined carbs are really bad. Well, all complex carbohydrates that you've been told are good, right? Whole wheat, like brown rice and that sort of thing, they're releasing insulin just over a longer period of time. So when you eat fructose or sucrose, your insulin spikes real high, right? Real quick, and then you crash because the insulin's gone. Okay, so now you're like, well, the insulin's not gone. I'm sorry. Rephrase that. The insulin's not gone. The sugar in your blood is gone because the insulin is now either storing it as fat or it's putting it in the cell. Okay, and then it drops real low, and then you get hungry and cranky, and then you eat again, and you crash. So all complex carbohydrates is it's releasing the glucose slower, so that your insulin gets released more steadily. There's more steadily sugar in your bloodstream, which, let's be real, that means that with all that, there's more storage of fat, more energy all the time. So see what I'm saying? Like, a carbohydrate is not great. Okay. So, where was I going with this? Okay. So, in order to lose weight, you need to cut back your body creating insulin. In order to do that, you need to reduce your body making glucose. In order to do that, you need to have less carbohydrates in your diet. And my doctor has been telling me this for the past 3 years. You need to eat less carbs, okay? And she gives me a packet, and I don't know who it was from, but it's like she prints it up, and there's like this whole introduction, and it's like, no, you will never eat a potato again. You're an adult, deal with it. Like, that's my doctor, okay? So there was another video I'll put below where a doctor, Dr. Stephen Phinney, was discussing carbohydrate intolerance. And we've all seen it. My best friend is, I kid you not, this big around, okay? She is tiny. Her diet consists mostly of carbohydrates, okay? And what Dr. Phinney was saying is that not everybody responds to carbohydrates in the same way, okay? So he came up with this carbohydrate intolerance. And basically, there's just certain people whose bodies store fat from carbohydrate much easier. And then there's other people who all the carbohydrates they eat them and eat them and eat them, and their body, for whatever reason, their insulin is just like energy, 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 no fat. Okay, that's my best friend. And he was giving off a list of symptoms of carbohydrate intolerance. And I forgot my notebook, but it includes excess fat around the waist, metabolic syndrome or diabetes, history of type 2 diabetes in your family, There was something else. Oh, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which very likely I have. So I definitely have 3 of the 4, possibly 4 of the 4. And I say that because I haven't been on birth control in 4 years. I haven't gotten pregnant. I do have cysts on my ovaries. So, yeah. So, I mean, my body is just saying, let's store it. I'm a giant energy bank. Savings, no loans, okay? So I'm going to go low carb. A lot of people are also really afraid of fat, and I'll link a video below. It's a TED Talks video with a journalist who was told a long time ago, before trans fat became a thing, from what she says, to do an article on trans fats. And that kind of sparked her to do this whole research about fat. And one thing about low-fat diets, which I've known for a while, is that it causes depression, okay? And the reason is your brain is actually made of fat. And your body, when it wants to burn excess fat, if you're on a low-fat diet, you're starting to drain all this fat from all over your body. It's not like it's just going to take the stores that are in my arm or in my belly or in my double chin, okay? It's not gonna work that way. It's gonna take it from wherever it can. And yes, it can take it from your brain. So, causes depression, okay? Fat has been kind of demonized because a really bad study, which she found, was done, that said that saturated fat causes heart attacks. Really didn't have a whole lot of merit to it, because when you actually look at the data, it's inconsistent and it's been tampered with. And what I mean is, you know, there's things where he went to Greece and said they eat less saturated fat, they have less heart attacks. So therefore, less saturated fat equals less heart attacks. The problem is like he went there 3 times, I think she said. He went to Greece 3 times. Each time was for a week to do this study. One of those weeks was Lent, where they don't eat meat. That is skewing the data, because now you have 3 weeks, one of them they're not eating it because it's part of a religious practice. So it's automatically saying they eat less saturated fat. Whereas if he had gone just any other time, or if he had done it over a year, you know, with 52 weeks and averaged it out, the results may have been different. And so a lot of people think that fat clogs up your arteries. Well, it's not quite how it works. What plaque in your arteries is almost like a scar. I think that's the best way to put it. It's like a scab. So basically what happens is you have these sharp things going through your blood vessels, and one of them like nicks it, okay? And then platelets come and fill it in. And then it just keeps going, building and building as it breaks away. You know, it's like a scab, and the platelets come in and they fill it in. So you need the sharp things. Sugar is a sharp thing, okay? When you look at it, it's very jagged and rough and spiky, okay? Fat is not. Fat is very round and smooth, okay? So it's not actually clogging your arteries. What it does is it lubricates your arteries and actually clears out your arteries. It also wraps around some of that sugar to protect your arteries. So fat is actually not bad for you. Your body can burn fat for energy. It takes a little while for your body to get used to it because your whole life you've been using carbs to do this, but it's called ketosis. And you've probably heard that before. If you want to lose weight, your body has to go into ketosis. It has to be burning fat in order to lose weight. And a low carb diet does this much more efficiently, I guess I should say, because you're not fighting the insulin. So that is what I'm doing. That is why I'm doing it. This isn't like I'm only eating meat and cheese. This is I'm eating good fatty meats. I am eating eggs. I'm eating vegetables that are low in carb. The big thing that I saw was the above ground vegetables, not the below ground vegetables. So like my meal plan for this week is, I've got a bunch of salads on there. I've got like a BLT lettuce wrap, so I'm gonna have a bunch of stuff. So, you've got to keep fiber in your diet. And so I have a lot of stuff for keeping fiber in my diet, and it's not going to be just meat and cheese. I think if I did just that, I would probably be miserable anyway. And let's see. I think what I'm gonna do as far as like weigh-ins and stuff like that, I think my weekly weigh-ins, I am going to do like I did when I originally started my weight loss channel when I was on Weight Watchers, which is down below. I'm gonna have all my stats. I'm gonna have my measurements, and down below in the description. I'm gonna have my measurements, I'm gonna have my BMI, and then I'm gonna take one day, because the whole week is just too much. But I'm gonna take one day of a food diary, and I'm going to put that below so that you can kind of get an idea of some of the things that I'm eating, that sort of thing. If there's any questions that you have, if there's anything you want to see, if you want to see, I've never meal prepped before, but I'm going to give it a shot. Why not? Let me know. Currently, like I said at the beginning of the video, I am at 310 pounds. Now, I can make an excuse and say I weighed myself at 5 o'clock at night, right after I ate a big meal. So and my blood pressure was high because I had just eaten and all of that. But I'm not going to make that excuse because it is what it is. And I should be able to weigh myself any time of day and not be upset by that scale. And I was very upset, very embarrassed. So I'm using a Higgy scale. Publix has them. It's a whole thing, so it tracks your, you log in, it tracks your blood pressure and your weight and your BMI. You can go online and get charts and graphs and things like that. You can have them email the information to you. So I like using that because it really does keep track of everything. So that's where I'm going to keep weighing myself in. My BMI is currently 50.03. My measurements, I did take measurements because that's how I roll. My neck, 17 3/4 inches. My bust, my boobies, 56.5 inches. My right arm, 19.5 inches. My left arm is 19 3/4 inches. My waist, and I measured it at my belly button, just because I've always had issues with like making sure it's in the right spot all the time. It's 57.5 inches. My thighs are at a 49.5 inch, and that's with them standing together. And I am currently at a size 25 or 24 snug, as I like to call it. It's a wide, but it's a little snug. So that's where I'm at. I will definitely check in next week. I've got to get some other videos going. I don't know what else I'm going to do this week as far as videos. I'm definitely going to be filming a plan with me, but we'll see if I actually post it. Again, go below, check out these doctors and their research and everything. And hope to see you next week. Bye.